Good day, everyone. Welcome to lecture number 10 of Theory of Computation. And in this particular lecture, we will continue our discussion of lecture number 9. And in our lecture number 9, we were discussing about the DFAs, deterministic finite automata. We ended that particular lecture with the closure properties of regular languages. Okay. That was the last portion of lecture number 9. And we said that we will prove these closure properties in our next lecture. But let's wait for some time. Let's first complete some more discussion about DFAs and NFAs. Then we will discuss about the closure properties of regular language. Probably in lecture number 11 or lecture number 12, we will be discussing about the closure properties in great detail, and we will prove every property of regular languages. So let's leave that portion for our subsequent lectures, and let's first conclude some more discussion about DFAs. Then we will move to NFAs, non-deterministic finite automatas. So let me recap about the DFAs first. So what was a DFA? Deterministic finite automata. Deterministic finite automata. Okay, fine. And let me give the example of a deterministic finite automata. Let's say I have a language L is equal to W belonging to 0, 1 star, such that W has even number of ones. Oh, or let me rub it. Let's discuss some more complex problem. So has 0. Oh yes, W has number of 1 is congruent to 2 modulo 3. Okay, so let me discuss this. So let's first design a DFA for this particular language. Let me create a DFA. Since you have already understood this in our previous lecture, I will make this DFA quickly. So it will have two following three states: Q0, Q1 and Q2. And this Q2 is our final state. Okay, and we will figure out why it is the final state. So Q0 is our initial state, and on 0 it will stay in Q0, and on 1 it will go to Q1, and 0 on Q1 it will stay in Q1, Q1 go to Q2, zero it will stay in Q2, and if we have 1 it will go to Q0. Okay, so this is the simple DFA that recognizes this particular language. So this diagram of a DFA is called a state diagram. Fine. So this is the state diagram. There is another way of representing this particular DFA, and that particular method is by representing this particular information using a table. Okay, so how we can design a table? The table is designed like this. So we have from this side, we have the input, and from this side, we have states. Okay. We always start from the initial state, that is Q0, and here we have input. The possible inputs are 0 and 1. Okay. Now we have Q0. So how will we design this table? If we have Q0, if on Q0 we have 0, what will be the output? The output state is Q0. So output will be Q0. Now on Q0 we have 1, 1. Then we should move to state Q1. So the state will be Q1. Fine. So we have completed the transition on Q0. Now we have to see what will be the new state. So Q0 we have already completed. Now our Q1. Q1 is the new state. So on Q1 we have to see what will happen on 0 and 1. Okay. Now let's see what will happen on 0. What will be the output? So transition on 0 will be Q1, and on 1 the output will be Q2. Okay. Now we have to again see if there is any other new state. So Q1 we have already completed. Now we have another state, that is Q2. So we have to see for the Q2 state as well. What will be the transition? So on 0, it will remain in Q2, and if 1 comes, it will go to Q0. Okay. So is there any other new state now apart from these three states, Q0, Q1 and Q2, which we have already completed? So Q2 we are done. For Q0 we are also done in the first row. So there is no new state. So this particular table represents this particular DFA, or we can say this particular state diagram. This table which represents a DFA is called a transition table. So transition table is the representation of the state diagram of a DFA. Okay. So that means you can represent a DFA using a transition diagram or a state diagram, or you can represent it with the help of a transition table. Okay. Now what is the difference here? So in the state diagram we have the initial state and the final state. These are the spatial states. So Q0 is our initial state and Q2 is our final state. The initial state is represented by using this arrow, this small arrow here, and it represents the initial state. Q0 is the initial state. Now for the final state we have two concentric circles. So Q2 is our final state. Now we have to represent the same information in the transition table. So how will we show that? So in the transition table, the first row, or we can say the initial state, is always the first state in the row. So first state in the row is Q0. You can see here. So Q0 is our initial state. Okay. So let me write it here. Initial state. Now we have the final state. How will we represent the final state? The final state is represented in the transition table by putting a star or asterisk on top of the final state. So star Q2 means Q2 is a final state. So this is how we represent the final state. So in state diagram, initial state is represented by an arrow, and in transition table it is represented by the first state of the first row. Final state in state diagram is represented by two concentric circles, and in transition table it is represented by putting a star before that particular state. Okay. So that means a DFA, we can represent the DFA first using formally. So the formal definition. So in the formal definition, we have to define the states, alphabets, transition function, initial state, and the set of final states. These five components. The second way of representing a DFA is by a state diagram, or it is also called a transition diagram. Okay, so as we have already seen here that this is our state diagram or transition diagram. Fine. And the third way is representing using a transition table. Table. Okay. So you can either represent a DFA formally using a state diagram or using a transition table. So you know that in our lecture number 9, we have given you some problems that you have to define the DFA for those problems. So you can define the problem, design a DFA formally using a state diagram or using a transition table. It is your choice which one you want to do the representation. Okay. So before wrapping up the discussion about the DFA, let me give one more example here. So basically, instead of an example, we have to discuss one important application of DFA. So let me discuss that particular application here. Okay, so let me rub this portion here first. So please wait a second. So as I said, let's discuss one important application of deterministic finite automatas. And that particular application is the algorithm for string matching, which is called the Knuth-Morris-Pratt algorithm. Okay, so we have to discuss about this particular algorithm, Knuth-Morris-Pratt, which is also called a KMP algorithm. Okay, so what is this particular algorithm? So this algorithm is used to find a substring in a string. Okay, to find a substring in a string. Fine. So this particular algorithm is used to find if some string, and we want to find in this string whether some other substring is there or not. Okay, whether this substring exists in this string. So let's say this is our string AABB, and we have to find this particular substring in this particular string. Okay, is this particular substring in this string? Yes, it is. It is here, ABB. Okay, now let's take another string. So this is my another string. Is this substring contained in this particular string? No, it does not exist. Okay, so in this particular string, it is there, but it is not in the second one. Okay, and Knuth-Morris-Pratt is an algorithm that helps us to find one particular substring in another string, whether it is there or not. And this particular algorithm is based on deterministic finite automata. So how this particular algorithm works, let's discuss it here. Let me rub this portion from here. Okay, so this particular algorithm, what it is doing, so first thing is it has to find a substring in a string. So it first thing what it does is it designs a DFA that accepts those strings that contain this particular substring. Okay, that contain this particular substring that we want to search. Okay, so we have to first design a DFA for this particular substring. Fine. So this is the first part, and it should reject all other strings. All other strings means the strings which does not contain this particular substring. Okay, so this is the first part of this particular algorithm, that if we have to find a substring in a string, so we first design a DFA that accepts those strings that contain this substring and rejects all other strings. Okay, so that means we have to first define a DFA for this particular substring. Okay, so after defining a DFA, second thing is that we will take that string in which we want to find this substring. We take that string and give this string as input. It has input to this DFA that we have created in the first step. Okay, so let's say we have string s1 and I have to find s2, whether s2 is there in s1 or not. So what this algorithm is saying, that first design a DFA for s2, for this particular string s2, and then DFA take this particular string s1 and give as input to the DFA. Okay, give this as input. If this DFA, or we can say if it accepts this particular string s1, it means s1 contains s2. Okay, if it rejects this particular string, what does that mean? It means that s1 does not contain s2. Fine. So this is the Knuth-Morris-Pratt algorithm for string matching, and this particular algorithm is based on DFA, deterministic finite automata. Okay, so how much time it takes? So for constructing a DFA, let's say the length of substring is m, then it will take order of m time, and for checking this particular string on this DFA, let's say it has length n, it takes order of n time. Okay, so the total time is order of m plus n, or we can say it takes a linear time. So Knuth-Morris-Pratt algorithm finds a substring in a string in linear time. Okay, so this is the use case or application of deterministic finite automata. So your job is, or we can say the assignment of this particular lecture is that write a program for Knuth-Morris-Pratt algorithm. Okay, so you should not copy from the internet because the program is already available on the internet, but you should try to do it on your own.
To try to attempt this particular program on your own. So how will you write this particular program? Let me give a small hint. So how to write a program for this particular algorithm. So what your program should do. So first thing is, it should ask user for a substring. Okay, let's say that substring is s2. Then second, design a DFA, or we can say you should have a function, and that function should design a DFA for s2. Okay, so that is the second. Third, ask user for a string. For a string s1. Okay. Fourth, run s1 on DFA created in step 2. And fifth, answer whether accepted or. So this is the flow of your particular program. Okay, so your job, or you can say your homework, is to write a program for KMP algorithm, Knut-Morris Pratt algorithm. So with this, we will stop the discussion about the deterministic finite automatas, and we will start a new topic. But there are some, we can say, some portions of the DFA we have to still cover, but we will cover them in our subsequent lectures. So this was all about the DFAs, the main portion, or we can say the main crux of the ideas behind the deterministic finite automata. Now let's discuss another finite automata that is mostly used, and that particular automata is NFA, non-deterministic finite automata. So let me rub this here, and then we can discuss about the non-deterministic finite automata. So let's discuss another class of finite automata, that is non-deterministic finite automata, or which is also called the NFA. This is another class of finite automata. Okay, so you can see that in deterministic finite automata, deterministic means that at every point, or we can say at every state, at every point, or as I said, at every state of computation. So how many transitions are possible for one input? So there is only one transition possible, or we can say that there is exactly one choice. One. Okay. In deterministic finite automata, the determinism is that at every point of computation there is exactly one choice. And we say that a DFA accepts if these set of choices, these choices, or we can say these deterministic choices, led to a final state. Then we say that the DFA accepts that particular state. Okay. So in deterministic, at every point of computation, there is exactly one choice for one input. Okay, not less than one, not more than one. And if these choices led to a final state, we say that it accepts the state. Now comes the term non-deterministic, or we can say non-deterministic finite automata. So what is non-deterministic? Non-deterministic means where there is no determinism, or we can say at every point of computation, or at every state, there are 0, 1, or more than one choice possible. Okay, so for every state, or we can say at every point of computation, there may be 0, 1, or more than one transition is possible for the same input. Okay, and we say that non-deterministic finite automata accepts a string if any of these choices, anyone, okay, led to a final state. Then we say that the non-deterministic finite automata accepts a string. Okay. So if any choice leads to a final state, we say that particular automata accepts a string. So let me give an example. For example, so let's make an automata here. So let's say this is our automata. So let's say sigma is alphabet is a comma, and let's write it sigma here. Sigma means that either A or B. Okay. So if I am writing sigma, sigma means A or B. So you can see that this kind of automata, whether it is a deterministic automata or non-deterministic automata. So in deterministic automata, you can see at every point of computation, there is exactly one choice for one alphabet. So let's take state Q0. So for alphabet A, how many choices are possible? So if we are in state Q0, now A comes. What will be the output? So output is one output is that it will remain in the same state. Another transition is that it will go in Q1. So it may be either Q0 or Q. Okay. So there is a choice. You can see that there are multiple choices. It can either go to Q0 or it can go to Q1. Okay, so it is not a deterministic finite automata. Why? Because in deterministic finite automata, there is exactly one choice, not more than one, not less than one. However, in non-deterministic automata, at every point of computation, there may be 0, 1, or more than one choice is possible. So you can see that here there are more than one choices possible. So we can say that this particular automata is a non-deterministic finite automata. It is an NF. So you can see that in deterministic finite automata, when we have a transition function, in deterministic, we have state, we have symbol. Okay. What is the output? Output is the state. So this is the case with DFA. However, in case of a non-deterministic finite automata, if we have a state, we have a symbol. There can be, what can be their output? So you can see that there can be zero transition. Zero transition means it won't go anywhere. For example, here, let's take Q. If at Q B comes, if at Q1 B comes, where will it go? No transition is defined. No transition means no transition defined. So we can see it will go to empty state, or we will say it will halt. Halt means it won't go anywhere. Okay, it will get stuck here. Okay, so how many transitions are possible? 0 on this particular state for alphabet symbol B. Or you can see on Q0 state how many transitions are possible? Q0. So output is it may go to one of these states, either Q0 or Q1 in this transition. So you can see that in an NFA, the output of a transition function is a set. Okay. This set may be an empty set. Empty set means no transition is defined. Or this set may contain multiple states. Multiple states means these multiple choices are possible. Okay. So let me give an example. In case of Q1 comma B, what will be the output? 5. In case of Q0 comma A, so output can be either Q0 or A. So you can see that this is the difference between a DFA and an NFA. In a DFA, the output of a transition function is a single state. However, in an NFA, the output of a transition function is a set. And this set can be an empty set, a set with one element, or a set with multiple states. Okay. So this is one example of a non-deterministic finite automaton. So now let's say I am giving a string. So this is a string. Okay. A, B, is, or let me give first a simple string. Let's say this particular string. Okay. Will this automata accept this particular string? B, A, let's see. Okay. First is B. So Q0, when it consumes B, it will remain in Q0. Okay, state is Q0. Now comes A. So A, now we have two choices. So by consuming A, it will either go to Q0 or it will go to Q1. So that means by consuming A, it will either in Q0 or it will Q1. Now another A. Another A, let's suppose it has gone to Q0 on the initial state. Okay. On the initial A, this A, it has gone to Q0. Okay. Then another A comes. Then again we have two choices, Q0 and Q. Is there any other symbol? No. That means if it follows this path, this particular path, what will be the final? The final may be either Q0 or Q1. Now let's say it has followed this particular path, Q1 path. So on the first A, it has gone to Q1. Now on another A, Q1 goes to Q2. So for this path, it has gone to Q2. But for this path, it has gone to Q0 or Q1. So you can see that in case of non-deterministic finite automata, when it is consuming a string, there are multiple paths possible. Okay. So when should we say it has accepted a string? So we say that NFA has accepted a string if any path, any of this path leads to a final state. If any one of this path leads to a final state, we say that the automata accepts the string. So you can see how many paths are possible. One path is this, Q0, Q0, Q0. Another path is Q0, Q0, Q1. And another path is Q0, Q1, Q2. So three paths are possible. And among these paths, you can see that one path leads to a final state. Which path? This particular path. Q0, Q1, Q2. This leads to a final state. And if any of the paths leads to a final state, we say that the automata accepts a string. So this particular automata accepts this particular string. BA. So let me rub this and then we will again explain this. So let me again draw that particular tree diagram, or we can say the NFA. This is our NFA. Okay, fine. So now I was saying that let's check whether it accepts this particular string. B, A. And what I said that we have to start from the initial state. So initially we are in Q0. Now B comes, where it will go. So on B, this is A comma B. So on B, it has only one choice. So on B, it will remain in Q0. So when it consumes B, it will remain in Q0. Okay. Now A comes. So in which state it is? It is in Q0. Okay. Now A comes. Now on A, it has two choices. It will remain in Q0 or it will go to Q1. So it will either go to Q0 or it will go to Q1 on A. Fine. Now another A comes. So this is. It is in state Q0. Now Q0 means that it has two more choices. It will either go to Q0 or it will go to Q1 on A. Okay. However, if it has followed this particular path, then on Q1, if A comes, it will go to Q2. Okay. So the string has ended. Now we have to say whether this particular automata accepts this particular string. And what I am saying that an automata accepts the string if any path leads to a final state. Leads to a final state. Leads to a final state. Fine. Okay. So you can see that there are how many paths? So this is path 1, this one. Okay. This is another path. So let me change the color. This is the second path. This one. Okay. This is path 2. And what is the third path? The third path is this particular path. Okay, let me write it. This is path. So there are 3 paths. And what I am saying that if any path leads to a final state, we say that the NFA accepts the string. You can see that this particular path, path 3, leads to a state, this state, and this particular state is final state. So we will say that since there is one path that leads to a final state, so this particular automata accepts this particular state. Okay. Now let me define another string, or let's take another example. For example, if we have A, B, C, this particular. Okay. Let's see what will happen. Whether this automata accepts this particular string or not. Initially, it is in state Q0. Okay. Now A comes. This particular A comes. Now on A, it has 2 choices. It can go to Q0 or it will go to Q1. Okay. Now let's say B comes. So if it has gone to Q0, okay, on Q0, if B comes, there is only one choice, that is, it will remain in this state. However, if it has gone to this path, this particular path, Q1 path, so Q1, if B comes on Q1, so there is no transition defined. So we will say it halts, or we can say it or no transition defined. So this path is an invalid path. Okay. Now B is ended. Now A. So this path is invalid. Invalid means we won't go through this path. Whatever now comes, we have to ignore this path. Now A comes. A comes here. So let's suppose it is in Q0. Q0 again it has 2 choices. One is Q0 on A. So it is B. Okay. Now Q0 and Q1. So string has ended. Okay. Now let's see what are the possible paths. So the possible paths are, one is this path, path 1. Another is this particular path. This is path 2. And another is this path, path 3. So you have to remember, if any path halts, so this particular path halts here, path 3. So this path will be a non-accepting path. So if a path halts, that means that particular path is a non-accepting path. Okay. So you have to remember that a path that halts or we can say the path for which there is no transition on a particular symbol, that is called a non-accepting path. Now, as I said that there are three paths, path 1, path 2, path 3. And I am saying if any path leads to a final state, then that particular string will be accepted. Is there any path that leads to a final state? Path 1. Path 1 leads to Q0. Q0 is not a final state. So this does not lead to a final state. Path 2 leads to Q1. So this also does not take to a final state. Path 3 leads to a halt state, or we can say non-accepting path. That is also not an accepting. So there is no path that leads to a final state. So we say that this automata rejects this particular string and it accepts this particular. Okay. Now, if there is a string like this, for example, A, A, B. Now let's see this particular string. What will happen? Now, initially it is in Q0. On Q0, A comes. Okay. So on A, it has two choices possible. One is Q0 and another is Q1. So this is on A, this is also on A. Now A has completed. Now another A comes. Let's suppose it has gone to Q0. So on Q0, another A comes. So again, we have two choices, Q0, Q1. Okay. However, if it has followed this path, Q1 path, and A comes, okay, what will happen? It will go to Q2. Okay. Now these two has completed. Now B comes. So if it has followed this path, Q0 path, this one, okay, on B it will go to Q0. However, if it has followed this path, Q1 path, on B it halts. Halt means not accepted. Okay. Now if it has followed this particular path, Q2 path, on Q2 if B comes, where will it go? There is no transition defined on B. So in this particular state also it halts, or we can say not accepted. So you can see that the string has completed. Now again, how many paths are there in this particular scenario? One path, second path. So this is path 1, this is path 2, this is path 3. Okay, path 1 leads to Q0, and Q0 is a non-accepting state, or we can say it is a non-final state. So this path does not accept even. P2 leads to halt, or we can say not accepting. This is also not accepting path. P3 leads to Q2, but Q2 leads to a halt, or we can say not accepting. This is also not an accepting path. Because accepting is only when we reach a final state and we are in the final state. Okay. So both P1, P2, P3, all three paths are not accepting paths. So that means this particular automata does not accept this particular thing, or we can say it rejected this particular. Okay. So this is how non-determinism works. Or you can see that you can see here that in non-determinism we are saying that on one state there are multiple choices possible. Now, why we are saying that if one path leads to a final state, that means this particular automata accepts this string. Why we are saying that? Because it is possible that our automata may have led to some other path, and that path is non-accepting path. For example, in this scenario, if our automata has led to path 1, that means it is a non-accepting path. It will reject a string. But we are saying no, it will take path 3, and path 3 is an accepting, and we are saying it will accept this string. So we are making this on this assumption that our automata, yes, there are multiple paths possible, but we will assume that it will always follow path 3, or we can say it will always follow that particular path which leads to a final state. However, if there is no path possible, then it may lead to any other path. Okay. So what I am saying, please differentiate here. I am saying that since there are multiple passes possible. Okay. So a when a string is processed by a non-deterministic finite automata, it will always take that path that will lead to a final state. Fine. However, if there are no passes possible that lead to a final state, then in that particular scenario, we will say that it can take any path. So if there is a path that leads to a final state, we will say that our finite automata always makes a correct guess. So it always makes a correct guess and goes through a path, through a path that leads to final state. That leads to final state. So you can see that in non-determinism there is a guess kind of. And our finite automata, we are saying that it will always make a correct guess, such that it will go to that path which leads to a final. Okay. So in non-determinism, there this guess comes out. So for example, on A, there are two choices possible on Q0. It will either remain in Q0 or it will go to Q1. However, if it knows that by going through Q1, it will reach a final state, it will guess that particular path and it will go through that particular path. Okay, fine. So our non-deterministic at every point makes a guess if there are multiple choices possible, and if it has to make a guess through which path it should go, it will always choose that path that will lead to a final state. So this is how our non-determinism works. So let me wrap this portion here and let's summarize the things that we have discussed about the non-deterministic finite automata.
So let me summarize what we have discussed about the NFAs. So what is an NFA? So we said that NFA, or we can say non-deterministic finite automata. In non-deterministic finite automata, at every state on an input symbol, there is 0, 1 or more transitions possible for a same symbol. Fine. And that means that when we are giving a string as input to NFA, so when we have an NFA, and to this NFA we are giving a string as an input, so this NFA has choice to follow different paths. So it can follow path 1, path 2 or path n. Okay, and if any of these paths if any of these paths lead to a final state, then we will say that this particular NFA accepts the string. Otherwise, it rejects the string. Fine. And to normalize this, or we can say to say it in clear words, we say that at every state, our NFA makes a guess. And we know that it can follow this path, path 1, path 2, or path n. But it makes a guess such that it always follows a path that ends in the final state. However, if there is no path that reaches to a final state, then it can follow any path. So NFA have the strength. What is the strength? The strength is they always make correct guess. Okay, and it is quite easy to design an NFA. So you can quite easily design an NFA. For example, let me give an example here. So let's say we have to design an NFA for this particular language. So the language is L is equal to W belongs to 0, 1 star such that W ends with 0, 1, 0. So, I have already given you an assignment to design a DFA for this. And you will see that design is a quite, DFA is a quite complex when we design. Okay. However, if I have to design an NFA for this particular language, then I can see that I have to check whether my NFA, or we can say it should accept those strings which have 0, 1, 0. So that means I should have a state. So on this state, if it sees 0, then it should go to next state. On this state, if it sees 1, it should goes to next state. On this state, if it shows 0, it should go to final state. Okay. So my DFA, so let me name these states Q0, sorry, my NFA. So this NFA should accept those strings which end with 0, 1, 0. Whatever comes at the beginning, let's suppose 0 or 1, it can stay here. Okay. So you can see this is a simple NFA. For example, you can take any string, for example, this. Okay. Can this NFA accept this string? Yes, it should accept this. Why? Because let's see what we have to give. We have to give 1, 1, 0, 1, 0. So 1, on 1, it should remain in this. On another one, second one, it will remain in this. On third 0, it has the choice. Either it will remain in this state or it will go to next state. Okay, so here we have two paths, but we are saying NFA always makes a correct guess. So it will make a guess that on this 0, it should move to Q1. Now 1 comes. 1 means it will go to Q2. On Q2, another 0 comes. 0 means it will go to Q2. Sorry, this is Q3. Okay. Now let's take another string. This particular string. Give this string as input. So this is accepted. This particular string by this NFA. So this should not be accepted because it does not end with 0, 1, 0. So 1 comes, 1 means it will remain here. 0 comes, it has two choices. It will remain 0 or it will go to Q1. Okay. In any of the choice, whether it will remain here or it will go here, you will see that all the possible paths, no path will lead to a final state. So this particular string, it won't accept this particular string. So that means it is quite easy to design NFAs for a particular language as compared to designing a DFA. You should design a DFA for this particular language, and you should see that designing a DFA is a complex idea, but designing an NFA is quite easy. Okay, let me give another example here. For example, let's say, so let me rub this portion and let's write another example. So let me give another example here. For example, let's say I have to design an NFA for this particular language. W belongs to 0, 1 such that W contains 0, 1, 0 or 0, 1, 1 as a substring. Okay, either 0, 1, 0 or 011 as a substring. So let me design an NFA for this. So NFA is, so let's first see 010. So 0, so let's say this is state, another state, 0, 1, and 0. Okay. So if the string has 010 as a substring, that means it should accept it. Okay. Now another is 011 or 011. So 0, 1, 1. Okay. So this should also accept it. Okay. So let's suppose it is Q0, this is Q1, this is Q2, this is Q3, this is Q4, and this is Q5, and this is Q6. Fine. And this is the start state. So I am saying it should accept those strings which contain 010 or 011 as a substring. And let's write here 0, 1, and here also 0, 1. Or you can directly write sigma here. Sigma. Here also let's write sigma. Okay. So this is a simple NFA for this particular language. So let's say we have to define a DFA for this. You should try it on your own how to design a DFA for this particular language. So designing an NFA is a quite easy procedure. You can very easily design an NFA for any language. Not for all the languages. It is not possible to design NFA for all the languages, but for those languages for which we can design an NFA, you can easily design an NFA. Okay, so this particular, we can say this particular finite automata is an NFA for this particular language. Now let's say if I am rubbing this portion here, what is the issue? What will be the issue? So if I am not putting this particular edge here, so this edge, let me bring it back. So this edge, okay. So if I am rubbing this edge, what is the issue? So the issue is if I am rubbing this particular edge, now let's say if this string comes, okay, so this is the string. My NFA, so this language belongs to this string, yes. So that means this particular NFA should accept this particular string. Yes, it should accept it because we are saying this is NFA. This NFA is for this particular language. So it should accept it. Now let's see whether it accepts. If one comes here, where will it go? It does not have any choice. Okay, choice means it halts. Okay, halts means that it has no portion to go anywhere. Okay, so it rejects this particular string in that particular scenario if we don't have this particular edge. So this particular edge is important. So this particular edge means if 1 comes, it will remain here. Then if 0 comes, it will go here, then 6, Q6 state, and it will accept the string. Now another is if I remove this particular edge, let's say this particular edge, what is the issue? Or this edge. So both these edges. So if I remove this edge, so see what is the issue. The issue is if I have these strings. Okay, so this particular string should be accepted. Now let's say whether it is accepted or not, this particular string. So first 1 comes, 1 means it will remain in Q0. 0 comes, let's say it make a guess, it came Q4. Now another 1 comes from Q4 to Q5. Another 0 comes from Q5 to Q6. Another 0 comes. Q6, we have no transition on 0. No transition on 0, what does that mean? It means it will reject this string. When we have no transition on a symbol, we are in final state. Okay, we are in Q6 state, but after Q6, we have another symbol. And on that symbol, there is no transition defined. That means it is a non-accepting path. Okay, even if we are in the final state, and we have a non-accepting path. That means it will reject that string. So it will reject that string, but it should not reject. So it is necessary to have this particular transition as well. Okay, so this is the NFA for this particular type of language. Which language? For language W, such that W contains 010 or 011 as a substring. So let me give you some examples here that you should try on your own. So let me write some of the examples. So example first is, so you should design both NFAs and DFAs for these languages, and you will see how it is easy to design an NFA. So first is L is equal to W belongs to A comma B star, such that W ends with A B. This is example one. Okay. Second example, that you have to design an NFA. L is equal to W belongs to 0 comma 1 star, such that number of ones in W is congruent to 2 modulo 3. Okay, this is second. Then the third problem that you have to try out is L is equal to W belongs to A comma B comma C star, such that W has at least one, such that at least one of A, B, or C is not in W. So for example, W is a string, let's suppose this. So you can see that in this string we have A also, B also, and C also. So this string should not be accepted. However, if we have string like this, it has only A and C, it does not have a B. So this string should be accepted. So that means those strings should be accepted where we don't have all the three, where we have only two. Okay, only two should be there, at least one should not be there, at least one. Okay, or if we have more than one, for example, if two are not there, for example this particular string, this should also be accepted. However, if everyone, or we can say all three are present in a string, all three means A, B, and C, then that particular string should not be accepted. The fourth is L is equal to W belongs to 0 comma 1 star, such that fourth digit from right is 1, such that W has fourth digit from right is 1. So fourth digit from right is 1. So we always process from this point, this particular point. Okay, and then go here. Here we are saying that it should accept those strings where the fourth digit from right. So this fourth digit from right, it should be 1. Okay, let's, instead of having fourth digit, let's say third. So this string should not be accepted if we are saying third. So this particular string, this should be accepted. Okay, so this is the example of this particular one. So design an NFA for this. You should design an NFA and also design a DFA. You will see how complex the DFA is, but how simple the NFA is. So these are the 4 problems that you should try out on your own. So let me write another problem here. L is equal to W belongs to 0 comma 1 star, such that W has third digit from right, from left. So in the previous question it was right, but here we have from left, should be 1. Okay, so these are the 5 problems that you should try out on your own. You should design NFA for these 5 problems, or we can say for these 5 languages, and also design DFA. You will get the comparison how easy it is to design the DFAs, and how how it is easy to design an NFAs, and how complex it is to design a DFA. Okay, so let me wrap this portion. That I have some small details to conclude this particular lecture. So let me wrap this. So this was all about the, we can say, the discussion about the NFAs. Now, like DFAs, for example, we used to say, let's suppose M is a DFA. Then the language accepted by M. What is the language accepted by M? W belongs to sigma star, such that W takes M to one of the final states. Final states. Okay, this was the definition, or we used to write it is equal to W belongs to sigma star, such that delta star extended transition function from Q0 W. So that means DFA from the initial state, when it absorbs this particular string, or we can say when it consumes this particular string, it will reach to QF, such that QF belongs to the set of final states. Okay, now let's design. So this was our DFA. So let's discuss the same scenario in case of an NFA. Let's suppose N is an NFA. So what is the language accepted by an NFA? So language accepted by an NFA is W belongs to sigma star, such that W, W takes N to, or let me write it again, such that N consumes W and reaches to a final state by at least one path. At least one path. So let me write it in this particular manner. So before writing it, so let's come here. For example, I have a transition function. Okay, so for DFA, if I have Q and I have symbol, output will be another Q, new state. Okay, however, in case of an NFA, transition function is, if we have state, if we have symbol, we have this set. This set, let's suppose I have set, in the set I have Q1, Q2. Q1, Q2 means that if I am in state Q, okay, now on consuming S, symbol S, it will either go in Q1 or in Q2. So there is a choice. And we said that if one of these choices, this choice or this choice, leads to a final state, then we say that it accepts the string. However, if it does not lead to a final state, then we say it does not lead to a final. If it does not lead to a final state, then we say it does not accept the string. So let's see for an NFA, sorry, for a DFA. For a DFA, we have extended transition function. If we start from the start symbol and we consume this string W, we will reach to a state QF. Let's suppose Q. Okay, and if QF belongs to final state, then we say W is accepted. However, if QF does not belong to final state, then we say W is rejected. So this is in case of which? In case of DFA. In case of NFA, we say extended transition function. If we start from the start state, we consume simply this W, or sorry, string W, then we will have multiple states, or we can say multiple choices. Let's suppose Q1, Q2. So we may be in either Q1 state or in Q2 state or in QF. For example, here we may in Q1 state or in Q2 state. So there are multiple states possible. And if any of these states, any one of these states is a final state, then we say that our NFA accepts W. However, if no one among these is a final state, then we say our NFA rejects this particular string. So another way to write is, if this is our set, let's represent this set with Q dash. If this Q dash intersection F means final states, is not equal to phi, what does that mean? If their intersection is not equal to phi, that means in Q dash there is at least one state that is also in this F. F is the set of final state. So that means in Q dash we will have one state that is a final state. So if it is not equal to phi, that means, what does that mean? It means it accepts W. So that means in Q dash, if we have at least one state that is a final state that is in this F, then we will say that our NFA accepts this particular string. So let me write it here. So we can say W belongs to sigma star such that extended function starting from the initial state, when consuming W, we will reach to a set of states F dash. So here I will naming this Q dash, and F dash intersection F. What is F? F is the set of final states, is not equal to phi. However, if it is equal to phi, what does that mean? If it is equal to phi, phi means they have no common candidate, no common state. No common state means that in this set of states, there is no state that is a final state. That means all paths led to a non-final state, and in that case, our NFA rejects the string. Okay, so this is the difference in the definition of these two finite automatas, DFAs and NFAs. Okay, now we have last portion to discuss, then I will end this particular lecture. So we discussed the language of an NFA. So we know that language of a DFA, so M is a DFA, let's say. Language of a DFA is also called a regular language. So what does that mean? If we have a language that is a regular language, then that means there exists a DFA for that particular language, or we can say we can design a DFA for that particular language. Similarly, the language accepted by an NFA, that is also a regular language. What does that mean? So if we have a language L, and we are saying that it is a regular language, what does that mean? It means that for this language there exists an NFA. But here we said that a language accepted by a DFA is also a regular language, then that means there will also exist a DFA. So if we have a language, we will have and that language is a regular language, we will have a DFA for that language, and we will have an NFA for that language. So we can say that every NFA has an equivalent DFA. Okay, so what I am saying, that every NFA has an equivalent DFA. Why? Because every regular language has an NFA and that language has a DFA as well. So that means every NFA has an equivalent DFA such that they both have the same language. Okay. So that means we should have a mechanism to convert an NFA into its equivalent DFA. So we should have a mechanism for that because we know that every NFA has a DFA, equivalent DFA. So how will we design a DFA for an NFA? If we have an NFA, how will we design it as equivalent DFA? Or we can say how we can convert an NFA into a DFA. Okay, so for that particular thing, we have a mechanism which is called subset construction, or we also say or power set construction. So this mechanism or this scheme helps us to design a DFA from an NFA, equivalent DFA from an NFA, subset construction or power set construction. Okay, and another thing that you have to remember is that since NFA and DFA, they are equivalent to each other, that means they have same power. What does that mean? Same power means that if there is an NFA, that means we will have a DFA for that as well. Or we can say if we have an NFA solving a problem means recognizing a language, then we will have a DFA for solving same problem as well. So we can say they have same power. NFAs and DFAs have same power. If NFA recognizes some language, that means we can also recognize that language using some DFA as well. So they have same power. We can convert an NFA into a DFA using this particular scheme called subset construction or power set construction. Okay, so this subset construction or power set construction, we will be discussing this particular scheme in our next lecture, that is lecture number 11. However, before discussing this subset construction or power set construction, we have to discuss epsilon NFA. Okay, so we will first discuss epsilon NFA, or we can say we will first discuss epsilon transitionist and what is an epsilon NFA. Okay, then we will see this subset construction, how we can convert an NFA into an DFA. Okay, so let me stop this particular lecture here, and in our next lecture we will first discuss epsilon transitionist and epsilon NFA. Then in the same lecture we will discuss subset construction on power set construction, where we will see how we can convert an NFA into a DFA. So let's meet in the next lecture. Till then, goodbye.